You are watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 23rd of June. India pushes stronger BRICS role amid geopolitical uncertainty. US trade chief visits India for interim deal discussions. And activist Mahrang Baloch sentenced to life by Pakistan court. And now for all the details. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Tuesday welcomed the recent understanding between the United States and Iran with cautious optimism, expressing hope that it would contribute to regional stability and strengthen global energy security. Speaking at the 16th BRICS National Security Advisors meeting in New Delhi that brought together senior security officials from BRICS nations, including Russia and China, Doval said India viewed the development positively, particularly because it could help ensure continued access through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital route for global energy supplies. The second day of the meeting focused on non-traditional security challenges, including terrorism, cybersecurity, information security, and emerging geopolitical risks. On the sidelines, Doval held separate talks with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi and senior Iranian security official Ghadir Nizamipur. According to India's Foreign Ministry, Doval and Wang reviewed recent developments in India-China relations and noted progress towards the gradual normalization of ties while stressing the importance of stable and constructive engagement. The meeting was held as India prepares to assume the BRICS chairship in 2026 under the theme Building for Resilience, Innovation, Cooperation and Sustainability.
India welcomes the MOU reached between the US and Iran. We have got cautious optimism and we hope that it will work. It will help energy security. Opening of the Strait of Hormuz is a very welcome development.
India and the United States are pushing ahead with efforts to finalize an interim trade agreement as US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer met India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal in New Delhi on Tuesday. The US Embassy said Washington remains committed to a fair and reciprocal deal that expands market access for American exporters while benefiting both countries. Greer's visit comes as negotiations enter a crucial phase ahead of July 24, expiry of the temporary 10% tariff regime by the United States. Indian officials say talks are focused on finalizing the contours of an interim pact with New Delhi, seeking a competitive tariff advantage for its exporters over rivals such as Vietnam and other ASEAN economies. Another key concern is the ongoing US Section 301 investigations, including a proposed additional 12.5% tariff on certain Indian imports linked to forced labor allegations. Public hearings on the matter are set to begin on July 7, while both sides continue discussions to address outstanding issues and move closer to an agreement. Moving on, a Pakistani anti-terrorism court has sentenced prominent Baloch rights activist Mahrang Baloch and two of her associates to life imprisonment, triggering protests from rights groups and political activists. Supporters say the case is politically motivated, while authorities maintain the convictions were based on evidence presented in the court. We have a report.
Prominent Baloch rights activist Mahrang Baloch and two of her associates have been sentenced to life imprisonment by an anti-terrorism court in Quetta. The judgment has sparked criticism from rights advocates and opposition voices across Pakistan. According to Pakistani media reports, Sibghatullah Baloch and Balach Qadir were also handed life sentences in the same case. In response to the ruling, Mahrang's Baloch Yekjehati Committee has announced a province-wide shutdown strike for 24th June, urging traders, students, transport workers and political activists to participate in a show of solidarity. The three were convicted on charges linked to alleged violence during protests in Quetta. Mahrang Baloch, a leading figure of the Baloch Yekjehati Committee, has for years been one of the most prominent critics of Islamabad's policies in Balochistan, particularly regarding allegations of enforced disappearances and human rights violations. Mahrang Baloch was arrested on 22 March last year along with several other activists. Authorities accused the group of attacking Quetta Civil Hospital and inciting violence. The arrests came a day after activists staged a protest at Quetta University over alleged enforced disappearances, a demonstration that ended in a police crackdown. The court's ruling drew immediate condemnation from the Baloch Yagjati Committee, which rejected the verdict and questioned the legal basis of the case.
And Bangladesh Prime Minister Tarique Rahman on Monday urged Malaysia to consider reopening its labour market to Bangladeshi workers as both countries sought to address concerns over migrant worker welfare and strengthen bilateral ties. Speaking after talks with his Malaysian counterpart Anwar Ibrahim, Tarique Rahman said discussions focused on labour mobility, including the regularization of undocumented Bangladeshi workers and the possible repatriation of detained nationals. Malaysia has long been a key destination for Bangladeshi migrant workers, whose remittances contribute significantly to Bangladesh's economy. Malaysia suspended new recruitment of Bangladeshi workers in 2024 following allegations of excessive recruitment fees, debt bondage, and forced labour. The move came after reports that many workers arrived in Malaysia only to find promised jobs unavailable, leaving them vulnerable to irregular employment, detention, and deportation. Beyond labour issues, the two leaders witnessed the signing and exchanges of agreements on investment promotion, cultural cooperation, and counter-terrorism collaboration. Both sides also agreed to advance negotiations on a proposed free trade agreement aimed at boosting economic engagement and strengthening bilateral ties. Following his visit to Malaysia, Rahman is scheduled to travel to China for a 3-day official visit at the invitation of Chinese Premier Li Chang.
I also raised issues relating to regularization of illegal workers and repatriation of the detained Bangladeshi, if possible. We agree that recruitment should be transparent, fair, and affordable, reducing intermediaries and low cost for workers.
This continued use of workers being exploited, ill-treated, and purely for personal company gains cannot be tolerated.
Moving on, Sri Lanka's headline inflation accelerated to 5.4% in May, up from 4.7% in April, as rising transport, utility and service sector costs pushed price pressures higher across the economy. Data from the Department of Census and Statistics showed that non-food inflation climbed to 8.6%, while food inflation edged up to 1.5%. The increase marks the third consecutive monthly rise in inflation and comes amid higher global energy prices and continuing uncertainty linked to tensions in the Middle East. The rise in consumer prices comes despite signs that Sri Lanka's economic recovery remains on track. The economy expanded 5.1% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2026, driven by growth in industry, services and agriculture. However, economists warned that higher fuel costs, inflationary pressures and tighter monetary policy could slow momentum in the months ahead. Sri Lanka's central bank raised interest rates by 100 basis points last month, while the International Monetary Fund expects growth to moderate this year as the country navigates external pressures and rising import costs. Moving on, record Litchi production in Kathua district of India's Jammu and Kashmir is providing a major boost to the horticulture sector with farmer interest and rising returns from the high-value crop. Chief Horticulture Officer Ashwini Sharma said, Litchi cultivation offers strong profits with comparatively low maintenance and annual yields. The fruit is currently fetching more than 200 rupees per kg in the market, making it one of the most lucrative crops for farmers in the region. Kathua has emerged as a leading Litchi producing district, reducing dependence on outside labour and strengthening local horticultural activity. Litchi is also relatively resistant to pests and insects, requiring minimal pesticide use and making the crop close to organic in nature. Government schemes are encouraging diversification and fruit cultivation, leading to increased farmer participation in recent years. Litchi production in the district is estimated at around 300 metric tons this season, reflecting steady growth in cultivation and market demand. The rise in production is expected to further strengthen farm incomes and expand horticulture-based opportunities across the region.
ये लीची जो है इस बार हमारी कठुआ डिस्ट्रिक्ट की बम्पर क्रॉप निकली है और आप जानते ही हैं लीची जो है हाई वैल्यू क्रॉप है, काफ़ी अच्छा इससे मुनाफा होता है और सबसे ज़्यादा कंपेयर करें बाकी क्रॉप से तो लीची में सबसे कम मेहनत की ज़रूरत है और सबसे ज़्यादा मुनाफा है और हर साल इसमें प्रोडक्शन आती है। आप देखते हैं इस साल हमारी जो प्रोडक्शन है आप लीची की मार्केट में देखो 200 से भी ज़्यादा मतलब इसमें पर केजी।
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.